Welcome back, everybody, to Sims Complete. I'm your host, Matt Sims, along with Phil Sims, and today we are so pleased to have Fran Tarkenton, the all-time Minnesota Vikings legend, Hall of Fame quarterback. Unfortunately for me as well, also a Georgia Bulldog. We'll get into that stuff a little bit later, but Fran, huge fan of yours. Thank you so much for joining us today. How you doing today, man?
I'm doing good, Matt. I'm getting up again. That's a good thing. 84
Oh, there
years
we
old. I'm a
84.
happy man.
That's
Oh,
right.
well, my family, everybody in the family talks about you because we met you a couple times down in
Sure.
Florida. But also, as soon as they meet you, what do you think they do? They go right on their phones and they get your highlights.
Yeah.
And, Matt even did it. They get on, he goes, oh my God, I didn't realize he ran around so much. And, so it's really cool to be able to do that.
So, Matt, when I came up, the quarterbacks didn't run anywhere.
Right.
You're a pocket quarterback. And so I didn't understand all that because I used my feet when I was in high school and when I was in college. I didn't know about running quarterbacks, scramblers. They didn't talk about them. I came into pro football, and I was a freak because I had never done it. And Gino Marchetti, the great defensive end of the Baltimore Colts back in that era, we beat him in my first year as the expansion team. And after the game, they said, Gino, what do you think about this kid? He said, shit, he won't last a year. They'll kill him. They'll kill him.
Oh, that is great. Well, that's really interesting. You played 18 years and you did scramble, of course, a lot. But you scrambled most of the time. It seemed like you threw the ball most of the times when you had those scrambles.
Well, it's an interesting thing. I did run a lot and I scrambled a lot and I did get my receivers more time to get open. And when I retired, I held all the passing records. My hero was John Unitas.
Right.
And I passed him up. I think I threw for 47,000 yards. He threw for 40,000 yards and da-da-da-da-da. So when I retired, and I broke all these passing records, people said, well, we thought you were a runner. I said, I am. I'm what they call a scrambler, but I bought time to throw the ball. But I did gain a lot of yards running too. And I think I set a record for running by quarterbacks, but then people like Michael Vick came along and that went out the window.
Oh, yeah, a little different runner there, no doubt. Oh, yeah, you hold it, as I looked at it, I forgot. And you and I talked about this in Florida. One, you played 6 years in Minnesota. Then you came and played 5 years with the New York Giants. And I happened to, of course, played there, but I saw a lot of film on you. You and I talked about the offense that you ran with the Giants.
Well, when I got to the Giants, I had a good foundation of the offense. My coach at Minnesota was a Hall of Fame quarterback, Norman Brocklin, and I didn't get along well with him, but he was a genius, and he taught me how to play. In fact, he was so bad, I forced, I told him I wasn't going to play for him anymore after my 6th year, and he said, why? I said, because I don't like you. I don't trust you. And I didn't. And so why would you want me to stay around? And that's what got me to New York. And I went to New York, and unfortunately for the Giants, it was the worst era. It was after Y.A. Tittle came in and did so well. And the year before I came, they had a quarterback named Earl Morrow, who was a really good quarterback.
Wow, sure.
Earl Morrow was the quarterback for Bob Greasy in most of the Miami Dolphin year when they went undefeated.
Right.
He played in the Super Bowl and really a good player. Well, with Earl Morrow, the quarterback, the Giants were 1 win, 12 losses, and 1 tie.
Yeah.
It wasn't like the Giants that you had, Phil, and all the organization and coaches and players. I was taller than both tackles. I mean, we didn't have any players, but I love playing in New York. And my first year in New York, I think we were 5-5, and then we went 9-5, and we're in a playing in the division with the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah.
So one time, off season, I went up to Wellington Mara, who I liked very much. The whole Mara family is a great family. I said, we need some more players. Wellington, he said, well, we'll get some more. I said, if we're going to play against the Dallas Cowboys and they got Too Tall Jones and Bob Lilly, we got to have some. Oh, we just made a trade for a defensive tackle named Joe Shesko from the Atlanta Falcons. I said, Joe Shesko, he's 5'7", 220. That's not going to get there. Anyway, I love playing in New York. I really played my best football in New York because I was at my prime, 26 to 31.
Yeah.
And you know, Phil, you got all your stuff there, and you can run, jump, and throw. And I love playing there. Allie Sherman was the coach. I loved Allie.
Yeah.
One year, Alex Webster was our head coach, and I loved Alex. Alex had no business being a head coach, but he was a great, great guy, and I loved Alex. I just loved my whole New York experience.
Oh.
And finally, the reason I got back to Minnesota, I got Wellington Mardown at the end of my last season there. I said, Wellington, I've been in the league 11 years. I played on an expansion team for 6. I've been here with you guys for 5. You need more players, and you can get something from me. Just, he said to me, you mean you don't want to play for the New York Football Giants? I said, I love it. I love New York. I love to play for the Giants. I love the fan base, but I want a chance to, compete. And so that's how I got back to Minnesota.
Okay.
And so when Wellington got me, they gave up 3 number 1 draft choices and 2 number 2s. When I went back to Minnesota, they gave up a number 1 draft choice, and I think they gave up 4 players.
Wow.
But I went back to Minnesota, and Bud Grant was there. They had a great organization. And we had, as you know, Phil, we had the Purple People Eaters. We had Marshall and Page and Carl Eller, and we had a team. And we won 6 straight division championships. We went to 3 Super Bowls in 6 years, and there we are.
Matt, those years he was in New York, I know you know all the numbers for Fran. You threw for over 100 touchdowns while you were here.
Yeah.
So, I mean, man, you guys were –
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, I didn't know it was 100 touchdowns. I knew I played my best ball there.
Yeah.
And I had a wide receiver named Aaron Thomas, and he was there. And I'll tell you the thing, and I know he's going to be at the deal this week, but Bob Tucker, he came to our team on a year when they had the strikes on. He was a free agent, and Bob Tucker had tried out for 2 years to play in the NFL. Nobody picked him up. And I was coming back from our last exhibition game, and we had a great defensive linebacker in the end of his career named Matt Hazeltine, who played in San Francisco. And so we had about 6 tight ends. And I said, golly, we got 6 tight ends, but I don't think we got one. He said, what do you mean? I said, well, the best receiver we got is Bob Tucker. He said, well, Bob Tucker's the best blocker also. I said, you're kidding me. So we're gonna play the Philadelphia Eagles in our last exhibition game, and good old Alex Webster's walking across the street. He says, we're to the clubhouse to dress for practice one day, and he says, we're gonna cut Bob Tucker. I said, you can't cut Bob Tucker. Matt Hazeltine told me he's our best blocker, as well as we played him at Philadelphia in the last exhibition game over in Princeton. He caught about 6 or 7 balls, and then the rest is history. He became a great tight end. He's going to be at that thing this weekend for the Giants as one of the 100 top Giants. I got him when I went back to Minnesota. I got him in a trade to come back to Minnesota, and he played for me 2 years in Minnesota. Bob Tucker was as good a tight end as I've ever seen.
Wow, that's really great. Hey, Matt, so a couple things. I just missed playing against Fran in 1 year. His first year out was my first year in. That's one thing. And what do you think, Matt? What do you think? He could have been a great TV analyst, right?
Why not, man? I mean, I still think to this day, let's go.
Yeah, you could do it, man. I tell you.
Well, I did. I was on Monday Night Football for 3 years with Howard Cosell, my best buddy Dandy Don, and Frank Gifford. And I will tell you, Phil, that was the most. I did it for 3 years and I quit because it was the most boring thing I've ever done in my life. I mean, we got 3 guys in the booth.
Oh, that's it.
And then what are you going to say? Oh, nice pass, nice throw, nice catch. And I mean, you're limited. And here they're giving Tom Brady $8 billion. And Tom Brady is, I know he's a great coach, great this, great player, great this. But my goodness, I don't think anybody that watches football, they watch football to watch their team play whatever team they're playing. They don't watch anybody because we are announcers. That's just
yeah. You definitely had too many people in the booth. I mean, when you get 4 guys in the booth, you got no chance for it to work.
And well, we really would only do 3 at a time.
Right.
Usually it was Gifford and Dandy Don and I.
Oh, that's really good.
But you had to have a good time though with Fran. Though I mean,
God.
just what were some of the? With Frank, what were some of the stories that you guys shared with each other? Like, what was one of your favorite Gifford stories that he told you from his playing days?
Well, Gifford was a gentleman of the highest order.
Right.
Handsome guy. He was a versatile player. I think came out of Southern Cal, and he was a very versatile player. Played running back. He played wide receiver. I think he might have played a little defense too, and he had a good run at it. But he was he was a terrific guy. And Dandy Don, he retired from football in the Dallas Cowboys when he's 29 years old.
Yes.
He came down to Hilton Head, South Carolina, to play golf with me, and I'd go down there to work out for a month before I went to training camp. He never worked out. So he said, "I'm gonna come down and I'm gonna work with you we'll play golf, we'll work out." Well, he never worked out. So finally, one morning, he was 29 years old. One morning, he gets up, he says, "Hey, partner, I'm going back to Dallas and I'm going to quit." I said, "What? You going to quit?" "Yeah." He said, I was at this bar last night and I got drunk again and I went and I started running on the beach. I've never worked out a day in my life. And I got back and I told my wife, I'm retiring. God must be crazy if I'm out running on the beach. He retired, went back and retired at age 21 from the Cowboys. Monday Night Football came and he became a star.
Oh my gosh, that is a great story. So he worked out and said, "Enough of that. I'm quitting."
He didn't. Enough of that. He was on the beach running when he was drunk, and he said, "I must be going crazy."
Oh my gosh, that's good. You got Matt. What else you got for Fran?
So Fran, let's go back a little bit too. You're born in Richmond, Virginia.
Right.
Yep.
Growing up, what were some of the sports that you played, and how did you kind of find your way from Richmond, Virginia, to playing in SEC football for Georgia?
Well, my father was a preacher and an educator, and he liked to do both of those things. And so he was getting a degree at the University of Richmond while he pastored. Went to Washington, D.C., and got another master's degree there. And then he got an opportunity to come to the University of Georgia in Athens, way away, to get a doctorate degree. And that's how I got there. But when I was playing, I played in Merrick's Boys Club in Washington, D.C., and I played basketball, football, and baseball.
Wow.
And that took the whole year round. And then when I came to Athens, I was the starting quarterback at 13 years old on our football team. 2 years later, we won the state championship. I was the leading scorer for 4 years on my basketball team. And we went to the state tournaments every year. And I've also was a starter in baseball. I was our number 1 pitcher for 4 years. I was drafted by the Detroit Tigers. And I played shortstop when I didn't do that. So my whole life was, one season to the next year, playing all of them. I really thought I was going to be a professional baseball player. But back then, all the girls liked the football players at the high school better than the baseball players. So I said, I think I'm going to go over to Georgia and find me a nice co-ed and have a career. And I did.
Wow, that took a turn we didn't expect.
I appreciate the honesty of your motivation behind playing football. I'm not sure if it's exactly what we want to share with the young guys today, but hey, it's all good, man.
Matt, just to what he was talking about there, when I came into the league right after the year you left, Fran, but I would say, almost every quarterback was the quarterback, the pitcher, and shortstop on the baseball team. And a lot of them played basketball, and they were a leading scorer too. I didn't play basketball because my dad said, "I'll give you 2 sports. The other time you got to work." if you want any money.
I understand.
So,
Yeah, I understand. It was a great time to be a growing up kid. It seemed like a very simple world back then. Not quite that way now.
no.
When you got to Georgia, the style of which you played in the NFL, that was already just kind of who you were. You were still scrambling around. You were still making plays. You were still using your feet to be a great thrower down the field that way.
Yeah, and I didn't even know what scrambler was. I didn't know about that, but I did that. I did that in high school, and so in high school, in my junior year, we won the state championship against a great program in the history of the U.S. of A football, high school football, Valdosta, Georgia.
Oh, sure.
And they were, and so we played them. But my coach, he was a tough old time coach, so we had head-on tackling every day. So my junior year, when we're winning the state championship, halfway through the year, I separate my shoulder. And I couldn't throw it 20 yards after that during the season. And we went and won the state championship. We beat Valdosta 41-20. I ran the opening kickoff back for a touchdown. It was called back. I completed. I tried one 10-yard pass, and it was incomplete. It was all running. And that never got better. When I retired from football, I had my right shoulder replaced. I was playing in New York, and it would come and go on my shoulder, and they shot me up with butazolidine. Butazolidine is what they give the horses.
Yeah.
And so it just made my shoulder worse and worse. I went to Minnesota. They shot me up with butazolidine to play. My last 3 years in pro football, I could not throw it more than 40 yards.
Wow.
In my last year in pro football, you'll look, and I led the league in yards gained passing. How that happened, I will never know. But I have never, Phil, I don't know if I've never heard of a quarterback that got his shoulder replaced after he played. But I got my shoulder replaced.
I'm getting close to it. So, I mean, I hope not. But yeah, my shoulder got hurt a lot too.
Yeah.
And I was a baseball pitcher. So the throwing doesn't, it's not like it was throwing all the time.
In baseball back then, we didn't. I had Tommy John problems without Tommy John surgery, and I couldn't. And I was snapping a fastball, and it snapped my tendon there, and I never could be a baseball pitcher again. Luckily, it didn't affect me throwing the football. But they didn't have a Tommy John surgery. And as you know, Phil, back in our day, if you had that or if you had a knee problem, Tucker Frederickson, who I'm sure is going to be in the top 100 players there in New York, he was drafted number 1 ahead of Gale Sayers and Joe Namath and those guys, and great player at Auburn. And he got a knee injury, I think, in his rookie year at New York. And he was a great player. But he lost his ability to run. They couldn't fix his knee. They couldn't fix shoulders and knees or anything. Today they can fix it all, as you know.
Sure. Matt, you want to finish up?
Yeah. We'll finish up.
No, but I meant you were on a train there. I didn't want to stop.
No, man. I also have a question too, because in 1961 you're drafted by the Minnesota Vikings, an expansion team in the NFL, but you're also drafted by the Boston Patriots.
Yep.
What was the decision between going to the Vikings or the Patriots at that time? Because, we didn't know the NFL would become what it is today. So what was it?
That's it. The AFL had been in business a couple of years.
Right.
And they had the draft, and they drafted me. And the Vikings were a new franchise team, but they were the NFL. That's all I knew. I didn't know the others were going to make it or not. And the Vikings offered me $12,500 to play, and a $3,500 bonus. The Boston Patriots offered me $17,000 to play and a $5,000 bonus. This just to show you how smart I went to Minnesota. I left that money on the table.
Oh, shoot. Oh,
And
yeah,
what
go ahead,
was it
Matt.
like though, too, for you? So you go out to Minnesota. It's an expansion team.
Yep.
Did they even have like, because nowadays fans, like, there's the football facility, there's the
Nah.
stadium, there's all the, like, what was it like during that time period for you to be like, hey, we're just meeting at this field at 12 o'clock for practice? And
No, well, I thought it was the big league. I didn't know. We had a training camp, but we played 5 exhibition games.
Oh,
We lost 5 exhibition games, and we didn't have any players because the rest of the league they had a 40-man roster. They could freeze 34 of their 40 players, and we got to pick 3 of the bottom 6.
Mhm.
Well, as you guys know, there ain't 34 great players on your team. And so
Right.
that's what an expansion team had. No expansion team had ever won there in the first year. The Cowboys were before us 1 year with Tom Landry and Bob Lilly. They tied 1 game, but they didn't win a game in their first year. So in my first year, we had gotten a guy from the Giants again, George Shaw, who was a quarterback for the Giants for a year or 2 or something. He was in that in the late 50s. And George is a sweet guy from Oregon. Played at Baltimore. Was, I think, rookie of the year there. And they had given him number 1 draft choice for George Shaw, so George Shaw was going to play. And so after our last exhibition game, we lost 5. Van Brocklin said to me, "Kid, I'm going to start you against the Chicago Bears, the Monsters of the Midway on Sunday." I said, "Great, but I want to come over to your house and see film, and you tell me, because they blitzed a lot, tell me what I should do." 5 nights, I went to his house for 4 hours. They blitzed about 60% of the time. They had a great defense.
Oh,
And he taught me how to read the defense, what to do, what to do. And so, making a long story short, we went in. I didn't start. He didn't start me after all that work. I said, "You're not going to start me? No, I got to do this guy. I got to give him a chance. He's a veteran and so forth." He put me in at the end of the first quarter.
okay.
And at the end of the first quarter, we were down 6-0. We hadn't made a first down. I came in, and all because of him, not because of me. I was prepared. I completed 17 of 21 passes for 237 yards. I threw for 4 touchdowns and ran for another. We beat them 37-13.
Wow,
Love it.
those are numbers in today's game. That's awesome. 4 TDs.
And that record is all Marcus Mariota in his first game as a rookie, threw for 4 touchdown passes, but he didn't run for 1.
There you go.
Yeah, and I think Will Levis was the next one to do it actually just a year ago. It's pretty cool the debut to have 4 touchdowns that way. And is that when the hatred for Norm started that day when he didn't start you after all that work leading into that week?
Well, he was a disgruntled human being. He never was a nice guy, and
He's right.
He was just awful, and so, but he was a brilliant guy. Without him, I don't make it. I don't think. I mean,
Right.
he really. But when I left, my last 2 years in Minnesota, he quit coaching. He was there, but he didn't coach. And the offensive coordinator, I put in the offense. When I got to New York, little Allie Sherman was there. I loved Allie Sherman.
Mm-hmm.
And every Monday night before the next game, I would go. I lived just about 5 miles from his house up in New York, and we'd go to his house, and I'd put in the passing game, and his other coaches put in the running game. And from that point on, the time I came back to Bud Grant, I put in the passing game. And I don't know any quarterback that ever did that. So after my first 3 years, I put it in the passing game for every game I played in.
Wow, how about that, Matt? He told me this, that he would go in and put the game plan. He goes, "Well, I'd game plan on Mondays," and I was like, "That is really great."
Yeah, and did you always call the plays as well during the game too?
Yeah, we know. Yeah, I called the plays. Roger Staubach's one of my great friends and great player, and he said, "Well, you'd have done a lot better if you'd let your coach call the plays." I want a Super Bowl with my coach calling the plays.
Yeah.
But anyway, no. But back then, Landry. I'll go back before that. Otto Graham was a great quarterback for Paul Brown and the Cleveland Browns.
Mhm.
And Cleveland Browns, Paul Brown sent in the plays by a guard on every play, so he called every play. But I like putting in the offense. I like that part of the getting together, and I think it made me understand the game better when I went out to play.
Absolutely. You put it in, so nobody knows more than you because you designed and put them in there.
Yeah.
So that's really awesome.
Yeah. No, it was it was really good.
Well, first off, Minnesota coming down here to play the Giants. Giants 100th season of football. And you had a chance during the offseason to talk to their head coach, Kevin O'Connell.
Yeah.
And Fran, I'll just say this to you. If you're a quarterback anywhere now or in the NFL, if he's your head coach, you're going to play well. Right, Matt? I mean,
right.
he can design the plays and call them right. And he's a great quarterback coach, no doubt about it.
Well, it's interesting. I don't go back to Minnesota much because it's a long way up there. I come to New York. I come to New York every year because I love New York. And but here's the kind of guy he is. He said, I want to come down to see you. I said, what do you want to see me for? He said, I want to talk football. I said, you know enough football. You don't need to talk. But he came down, and we spent a couple of days together. And you're right. He's just he's asking questions. He's this and that. He's really smart. And so they played the Falcons this last season. He wanted me to come down and make a pep talk to the team before the game. Well, if you make a talk to the players of my generation and this generation, you don't use nice words.
Yeah.
So if you have a curse word every other word, they'll like it. So anyway, I went in there and they had lost their quarterback. Kirk Cousins was out for the season. And so they had a rookie who was going to play, and he got hurt in the first 3 plays. And they end up beating the Falcons. But I talked to him for about 15 minutes, and I used curse words every other word, and I got them riled up and going. And they were yelling and screaming, and they gave me the game ball.
Oh, my gosh.
They beat the Falcons, and he calls me up the next day. He says, we just all were talking. We're going to send you the game ball because you helped us win. So
that's great.
I've got some game balls around my house, but that was really kind of a fun one.
Oh, that is really awesome. I have you on, and there's quite a few Minnesota fans around here.
Yeah.
I mean, I was actually on the radio today with a big Minnesota fan. Yeah. But tell us a little bit. You and I talked when I saw you back in the spring about the Super Bowls, and you said, "What did y'all do before the Super Bowl?" And I told you we put the whole game plan in the week before. We practiced, a few days, and we went out and just all we did the week of the Super Bowl was fine-tune it. And tell us about yours.
Well, we went to 3 Super Bowls, got beat by 3 teams that we had beaten before and after. Bud Grant was my greatest friend ever. He and I talked to the day he died. He was a different type of coach. He didn't coach like anybody else. And so now we win our 3 championship games almost back to back. And back in that era, you played every week. But now in the Super Bowl, you had a 2-week before you played.
Right.
So what are you going to do that first week? Well, everybody else, they practiced. And Phil, you told me how hard you practiced. He took the whole week off. He told us on Monday morning after we won the championship game, go home, come back, show up next Sunday. And and I know you, by the time you get to the Super Bowl, you better have it all in because it's the zoo.
Yes.
And so I put in the passing game with Jerry Burns, who was our offensive coordinator, and he was my best friend. Well, I didn't get to put in the passing game.
Oh, my gosh.
Because I wasn't in the meetings. We didn't practice for a whole week. We were a shadow of the team we have. And Phil, I did ask you that question. I never had asked that question before, but you did the right thing. You guys practiced all week, and you told me you had some of your toughest practices, physical, and you were prepared to play. We were not prepared to play. We didn't give ourselves a chance.
Wow, it's really interesting. Yeah, to break the rhythm of how football goes and the plays and everything, to break that rhythm before the Super Bowl, you're right. Yeah. That's tough to overcome.
Yeah, we couldn't overcome, and we weren't even close. We lost to Philadelphia. I mean, we didn't come close. We beat great teams. You know, we destroyed Dallas in the championship game and this and that. But we played the LA Rams. We played the Steelers and
The Raiders.
And the Raiders.
Raiders,
and
yeah.
We weren't in the game. We never were in the game. We didn't even have we didn't have a chance. It's a great deal. It taught me a great lesson. Preparation, 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 and whatever you do.
Right.
And I've been in business all my life, and it's preparation, 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 and you got to get better every day. And we didn't do that.
Fran, I want to just hear your thoughts. You played with some of the greatest, just legends in NFL history. Who was the best player that you played against and the best player that you played with during your career?
The best player I played against was Gino Marchetti.
Okay.
And Gino, Gino, we beat them my rookie year. He and John Unitas. And he said that about me, that, they'll kill him and so forth. But he and I became friends. So I got Dick Schaap. Remember Dick Schaap? He was
very well.
Of Sport, Sub Magazine. And in 67, or right after my first year in New York, I got somebody named me Offensive Player of the Year or something. They're gonna have a big banquet in New York to do it. And he said to me, he says, "Well, who would you like to be introduce you?" And remember, I told you Gino Marchetti after we beat him. Yeah, kid, they'll kill him. He'll never make it. And so I said, now he's retired, of course. I said, I want Gino Marchetti to introduce me.
I love it.
That is great.
And Gino did. And Gino was, and then Gino, and I got to give you my other equal, Chuck Bednarik.
Wow.
Oh, my
Chuck
gosh.
Bednarik played in the championship game in 1960 against the Packers. He played 60 minutes. He was big, tough, strong. He played forever, and he also became a great friend of mine. And there's a story there for Bednarik. He was I had sold one of my companies to a company in Dallas, and they're gonna have a big convention and in New Orleans. So and they said, we'd like to get some Hall of Fame players down there, and how would you like to do that? And I said, yeah. I said, in fact, I'll get Chuck Bednarik. Oh, can you get Chuck Bednarik? I said, yeah, I think so. So I called Bednarik. He's a big, and I said, I get him on the phone. I said, hey, Bednarik, I said, we got this thing down in New Orleans. I'm gonna pay your expenses, your wife's expenses. We're gonna play golf down there, and you'll have a good time. And he said, "Oh, Franny boy, I'd love to do it, but I got a gig out here for $50. I've got to go do." I said, "I was going to pay you $5,000." Oh, Franny boy, I'll be there. and when he got there,
oh my gosh,
he told the story. All right, you guys, have you ever seen the thing with Bednarik standing over Frank Gifford?
Yeah.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
sure.
Well,
He knocked him unconscious for 3 days.
I got it in my office, and he's standing over Frank Gifford. It looked like Frank Gifford was dead, and he hit him, and he stood down there. I said at the meeting, I've got former Big George Bush was there, and a lot of executives. So I said to Bednarik, I said, what were you saying? What were you saying? He was down on the ground and da-da-da. I'm going to leave the language out of it. It was colorful language, almost colorful language. Yeah, I killed you. I knocked you out. I killed you. But he was yelling it with profanity.
Yes.
I had to pull the mic away from him. But he was a character. Those were my two favorite players of all time.
Oh, that's great. Cursing on the field in football it's just okay. I mean, in other words, if you're going to curse in life, you're going to curse on the football field.
That's right. That's right. It's kind of. Please forgive me, because it's just the way. And
Huh.
I think they communicate that way today more than in our era, but our era pretty bad.
Yeah, it sounds like y'all can hold your own in that world. Oh yeah, when I came in the league, I think my rookie year, we were playing the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I'm not going to get into who it was, but they were saying things to me, and I was like going, "Wow, that is really clever." I mean, they were just and I wasn't going to talk back. As years went on, of course, I would talk back because what are they going to do to you out there? I got equipment on, I got all the players around me, so you don't have to worry about getting beat up. But man, the cursing was colorful, and I guess that's the only thing I'm going to say
All right,
about it.
let me
There's
ask
other
you.
things.
All right, I'm gonna give you one, Phil. Have you ever heard of any quarterback, including yourself, that was thrown out of a game for bad conduct?
No, I never have.
I was thrown out of a game.
Oh my
I was playing
gosh!
the New England Patriots up in Minnesota, and I scrambled. And it was a tight game, and we're playing. And so I run left and I score, and I'm in the end zone, and they had a little defensive back. I can't think of his name now. Nice kid. He tackled me right on the back of my ankles after I was already in the end zone.
Right.
Well, I get up, I got the ball in my hand, and he's standing there, and I go wham, hit him right in the hand. What the hell? And then it was a free for all, right? And my roommate and center, Mick Tingelhoff, he was like a professional fighter. I mean, he was pulling people off of me, and the next thing I know, the referee threw me out of the game.
Oh my gosh, you're right. You might be the only quarterback in history to get thrown out of the game.
I think I am. I've never heard of anybody else.
That's a good one. All these records you set, that might be the best one of all.
Yeah.
So, oh my gosh, Matt, what do you got?
So Fran, what are you up to these days, man? You had a great career, business after, football really went well for you as well. So what do the days look like for you now?
I work every day. I've started in my lifetime somewhere around 30 companies. We have about 6 right now. We're in digital marketing. We're in finance. We're in insurance, and I've started them all. I've done that from the time I was playing football, and here I'll call back to my office and talk to them a couple hours a day. I go to work every day, and my whole philosophy: if you ever stop, you may never be able to start again. Right. And so I never stop. I enjoy it. I enjoy going in technology today. You can do so much. This AI stuff, we're all over that. It's an exciting time to be in business, really. And so it keeps me going, and I love every minute of it.
Wow, talking football keeps you going too. It really does.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it does.
It's been, I don't know what to say, Matt. What do we say? You're the greatest interview I've ever had. That's for sure.
All right, now hey, let's hear the prediction of the game though. Vikings.
Yeah, you got to do it.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Who are you siding with here?
Well, as much as I love New York, which I did 5 years. I'm a Viking. I started there. Yeah. I started there in '61 as a rookie. I don't go back either place very much or at all. But I really do. I'm a Viking, and I love my days with New York. I didn't have any better days. We didn't win any championships. Went to the playoffs one year, but I really did. But I'm a Viking. That's what I am, and so if I was up there, I have to be rooting for the Vikings, which would not be fair. So I'm going to miss the celebration up there.
We'll miss you.
And so, but it was nice for them to ask me to come up there, but I just didn't want to embarrass my fan base in Minnesota and the people. The people that own the Vikings or live in New York.
Yeah, that's right. The Will family, sure.
Yeah, wonderful family, and they've done such a great job. We haven't won any championships there, but it's not their fault. But they've really run a good organization, and they've done a great job with that franchise. But they're New Yorkers and really soft-spoken guys. Very much like the Mara family, and of course the Titans are there now. And I thought Tish Senior was just a great guy. I got to know him when I was in New York, and they didn't own the Giants. As you well know, they're in the hotel business. I stay at their hotel every time I'm in New York.
Oh,
But it's
good.
the Tisch family is a wonderful family to go along with the founding
Mariners?
fathers, the Mariners, the founding fathers of the Giants. And it's
Right.
been, I think, a great thing for both families. Both families, I guess they're 50-50 owners. And it
Yeah.
looks like they've just done so well together, been gentlemen, run this franchise perfectly. It's a great testimony to both the Mara families and the Tisch family that they could do that. Not
Right.
many people could do that. Do you think Jerry Jones could bring in another family to be 50-50? I don't think that
so.
could happen. And I don't know if it's ever happened before, but for the Tisches and the Maras, they've done it because they're great, solid families and solid people.
No doubt. No doubt.
Well said,
Well,
man. Well said.
Fran, that was not good. That was spectacular. So it's great to talk to you.
You're too kind, and your son is a hoot. He's got it going there.
Yeah,
it's been my pleasure to be with both of you. I'm a great man. I'm a great fan of your father's, and the first time I met him, I think I was out doing a signing, my first signing ever in Long Island, and I'd retired. I guess Phil, you'd retired, but I've always been a great fan of your father's. He's handled himself well, and he not only handled himself well, he was a great, great player. And it's a shame he's not in the Hall of Fame, because if all the rest of us quarterbacks are in the Hall of Fame, your dad should be in the Hall of Fame. And I wish they'd get off their ass and put him in the Hall of Fame.
Well, all right. Well,
Hey,
thank you for the kind words.
Fran. That's something that we as a family, we agree upon. My brother and I, we speak about on that subject often. And, you know, hey, we appreciate the seal of approval from Fran Tarkenton, because that means a lot to us, man.
Oh, it's nice.
Well, you know, the interesting thing, the Hall of Fame called me a week or two ago, wanted me to do something for players in the back, and I'm going to do it.
Okay.
And I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to push your. There are two players I'd like to go in both. One is Jim Marshall, who played defensive end for us in Minnesota.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, this is he's the face of the. He was the Purple People leader. He was the leader of our team. Never missed a game in 19 years. Never missed a practice. And your dad is the other one. And they're going to be my two projects.
Wow. I love it. Well, we appreciate it. Yeah, thank you. And that's awesome. And Marshall, he was phenomenal too. So yeah, that's awesome of you to do that. And Fran, yeah, like my father said, this was so great. We're going to have you come back again. You know, maybe we'll do it as the college football season unfolds too, and how your Georgia Bulldogs go.
Yeah.
You know, and we'll chop it up again and see how the season goes for both the Minnesota Vikings and the Georgia Bulldogs. But we really appreciate you joining us today.
My pleasure, and we'll do it again whenever you want to.
All right, appreciate it.
Thank you, bud.
Well, Fran Tarkenton, everybody, that was awesome. I don't even know how to describe it. That was
wait, but how do we say it? Fran Tarkenton, live and raw? I don't know.
Yeah,
I can't think of it.
Yeah, that was
great.
That was special. That really was. And yeah, it's, you know, we're going into minute 44 here, and I feel like I was like closing, but I don't, you know, even you're like, hey, you want to wrap? I'm like, no, we gotta keep this going. This guy,
no. I wanted you to finish up your train of thought one time, but
I was like, man,
no. Yeah, no.
He's back. He's back. That a boy.
Trying to get off of it. Yes.
Well, that was
all right,
awesome.
Matt. Well, that was great. Maybe
have Fran back again for sure.
Maybe on Friday we'll see if we can get Lawrence Taylor on. So that's the next thing.
Yeah, that's our next project. So Lawrence, if you hear us out there, let's go.
Yeah,
right?
well,
yeah. See Lawrence, if you can be Fran.
Yeah. Well, it'll be a different beating, that's for sure. Okay.
Tough to follow up, Fran.
It'll be different. That's sure.
Great storyteller, class act, just unbelievable football player. And man, just to hear his stories and the way that he played the game, the way that he carried himself too. And I think what really was just so apparent as we listened to him talk, just super authentic guy, right? There is just no BS whatsoever, man. He is just himself, and he's just owning it. He doesn't give a damn what you think, and I think that's
Yeah.
just, a super powerful thing for really anybody who plays the quarterback position, and really for all of us too, just how we kind of carry ourselves.
I think the one thing that comes out of it too, just listen to high school, whatever.
Yeah.
He was just he was an athlete.
Right.
You know what I mean? It was easy for him. It was very natural.
He's just a ball player. Yeah.
He was a ball player. I say that all the time. Somebody, they just know how to play.
Right.
And doing all that. And he, like I said, he was a quarterback, and I wasn't shocked to hear pitcher in baseball, shortstop when he was there. I'm sure he was a good hitter. Basketball, of course, great hand-eye. I'm sure he could shoot it. In that era, my God, they were. Well, he wasn't really that. I mean, he's 84, so. But his first year out was my first year in, so we just missed each other. I wonder if they were doing two-hand shots though when he was playing high school basketball.
It's possible, and I love the line too. Probably the line of the day was. Well, I shouldn't say that. One of the few was. The Giants, we didn't have any talent. My tackles, they were the same height as me. And just so everybody knows, Fran's 6 foot. So it wasn't like that was a big bruising offensive line that he was playing behind. So
we had no talent. And then hear the story.
Players, man.
They're going to cut Bob Tucker. They're going to cut Tucker. No, Bob Tucker.
Yeah.
They were going to cut him. He goes, well, hell, he's our best blocker and best receiver. Well, all good.
That was great.
It was great. All right, Matt. Well, good stuff. I'm glad it worked out. Got to give you a lot of credit. It was hard getting this all together and connecting it.
That's all right. That's how it goes when we do interviews every now and then. It's just hey, managing all that stuff. It's but hey, you got it done, big guy. We appreciate it.
Yeah, it worked out. Yeah, well, I do too. Okay, man. You the man.
You the man. You the man. Hey, tune in next time, everybody. Sims complete. We're out.
All right, see ya.